Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I cannot complain.
Let's go.
It is
Tournament, man.
Tournament, baby.
Can't wait.
I'm ready. It's underway. I actually started watching the play-in games last night, and I was thinking, just make this part of the field. There's already, they already go through enough conference, the pre-conference, the conference season, the conference tournament. They got to have a play-in game. Just make it part of the field. Let them. It's not going to change anything. You're just making kids go through more grief. Now there's something else they missed. They lost out on.
It wouldn't break my heart if they didn't have a first four altogether. Honestly, I mean, now, I mean, that said, you go back over the years, we have had teams from the first four make it to the NCAA Final Four. George Mason did it. VCU did it. There's another school that did it that's escaping my brain right now. But we've seen teams in the first four who've actually made it to the Final Four.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, make it part of the field. I mean, because nothing changes. They're still playing.
64 is a good number.
Well, I'm just saying it's a made up hype number.
It is.
These play-in games.
I agree. I mean, hey, gave me something to do last night besides watch.
But here's another thing: we're going to watch the games regardless.
Oh my God, yes.
All they have to say is they're just playing for this. It doesn't matter what they call it.
That's
so
true. That's good. It's good for Dayton. I like Dayton. My daughter was.
I think it should stay. It should stay in Dayton.
I agree.
Yeah, I know. I don't suggest any change there, but things get real tomorrow as it all starts, I guess. But the NIT has already started. Rutgers. We were talking about them, and we see this a lot. Rutgers, a team who gets snubbed from the NCAA tournament and turn right around and lose in the first round of the NIT. Yeah, I don't know if that's disappointment, if what that is, but we see that happen a lot.
Yeah, well, you got teams that feel like they should have made the big dance, and it's just it's emotionally difficult to bounce back from that when you think that when you got to play in the quote unquote losers tournament, which is it's not what it is. I mean, you still have to have a winning record, but when you play in the secondary tournament, yeah, it's mentally difficult, and it's not surprising to me that a team like Rutgers lost, as much as I think they're a pretty damn good team.
I agree. So what are you looking forward to in the start of the NCAA tournament?
Well, I am headed out to Columbus tomorrow morning for the interviews and stuff in the afternoon. And, I want to see how Purdue reacts. I mean, we know they're going to win their first game by about 40. But, second round, if they got to deal with Memphis, they got some athletes. That could be a little challenging. It's funny. I've been saying all this time that I think Indiana's going to go further than Purdue. And then I just did my bracket this morning with my wife. I had Purdue going further.
Well, and understandably, because there's a huge difference in the first round games that the teams are playing.
Well, I mean, Kent State barely lost to Houston, I think by 5 points. They barely lost to Gonzaga. I mean, Kent State's a pretty good team, and I don't think IU is gonna walk all over them. I think it's gonna be a tight game.
No, they've won 10 out of their last 11, and it's the MAC. But let me tell you, there are some good teams in the MAC. Those top four teams: Ball State, Kent State, Akron, and there's another one that's escaping me. But there was some good basketball. All four of those teams won over 20 games. So Kent State won 10 out of 11 in a league that has four teams that won 20 games.
Right.
So
they're pretty good.
And then of course you laid out the preseason schedule they had against a great non-conference schedule, of which they played very well. So yeah, this is going to be this may be the toughest game that they would have in in the first two games because Drake might upset Miami. Not that Drake would not be a tough game. Kent State, who knows? But I think all four of those teams are tough. Miami may be without their big guy, so that may hurt them. But Drake, I've heard several people pick them or say, hey, watch out for this team. And then, of course, we already know about Kent State and Indiana.
Right. No, it's gonna be fun. I think Purdue's got a pretty. I'm excited about. I mean, because it's all about me, Jim. I want to go to New York City next week. Go back to my old hunting ground. So I'm looking forward to that. I think Purdue's got a pretty soft approach to the Sweet 16 and maybe even the Elite Eight.
Well, why don't you go to New York for me today?
No. There's a difference, my friend, between Manhattan and Albany. They may as well be in two different countries.
Yeah, I noticed that by watching the Weather Channel in great detail yesterday.
Yes, Albany. Do you have your sled dogs ready to go?
They're down there barking right now.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, make sure they're well fed. It's a long trip.
Yeah. I've definitely changed my wardrobe. I can promise you that.
Yeah. So, Albany. Have fun out there. I'll be in Manhattan looking for something to do.
Well, no, Manhattan's the second weekend, right?
Second weekend, yeah. I'm assuming that Purdue is going to get to the Sweet 16 at the very least. If they don't, it's not going to be pleasant.
If Indiana manages to get to the second weekend, I'll be having a barbecue.
Where are they?
Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that.
And it'll be a lot warmer.
It will. It'll feel I like both teams getting to the Sweet 16. I don't know how much deeper they can go. What's interesting to me about Purdue, I mentioned this to Matt Painter the other day. Not that he cares what I think, but really Purdue is trying to do something that hasn't been done in like 40 years, which is win a national title with a center-dominated team. I mean, you really got to go back to Patrick Ewing to come up with a team that's won the NCAA tournament that has a big, dominant center like a Patrick Ewing or, in this case, a Zach Edey. So, we always hear that it's all about the guards in the NCAA tournament. I think Purdue is going to try and do something unique, and I'm interested to watch that.
Well, I was just talking about before you joined us that the college game has gone to one of you've got to shoot the three, and Indiana, that is not their game. They are efficient with the three, but they're very stingy with the three. They don't shoot it.
Shoot a lot.
And this tournament lends itself to a team that can do that.
Right. If they're going to do anything, they need Miller Kopp and Galloway and maybe a Bates. They need them to be willing shooters and to be accurate shooters. Because there's only so far you can go with Trace.
Well, and I was going to say the same thing along with Purdue. I know that they have Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Mason Gillis at times. Yeah. And Mason Gillis has been kind of like he's Indiana's Miller Kopp or whatever. He's sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. But these guards, Purdue's guards, that's why I was going back to that. They're going to have to be able to shoot the ball as well absolutely. In this tournament, or with Zach Edey or not. I don't think Purdue can get as far as they'd like to if that's not the case.
There's no question. I mean, I was at Purdue practice yesterday, and Fletcher Lawyer was in the gym by himself shooting threes, and it's clearly in his head, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. But God knows he's working on it. But they won the Big Ten tournament final against Penn State, going 2 for 20 between Lawyer, Newman, and Smith. You can't get away with that stuff in the NCAA tournament, at least once you get to the second week.
No, and that's my point actually for both Indiana and Purdue, because they're
Yes.
both center-led teams. The offense runs through the center for both of those teams.
Well, that's exactly right. And yeah, I mean, look, if they can get somebody to go off, I mean, they can both be really dangerous teams. But if they're not hitting their threes, this could be very disappointing. But I think they're both going to make it to the second weekend.
Well, I definitely hope so. But for that to be Indiana's going to have that's a tough road to hoe with.
Oh yeah, they got a tougher road than Purdue for sure. And
I mean, I think that Indiana
1 versus 4.
Indiana might have the toughest road of any 4 seed there is. That's a tough bracket with Drake and Miami and Kent State to start.
Yeah,
Kent State has got to be the toughest. That's got to be the toughest opening game for any 4 seed or above.
I'd have to look at I'd have to look at it, but I'm inclined to agree. I mean, they've been playing so well, but wouldn't it be nice to beat Rob Sender? Wouldn't it not be nice in this NCAA tournament to not only beat Rob Senderoff, but to beat Kelvin Sampson as well down the road?
That's and for folks who have not been familiar, Robert Senderoff is the coach of Kent State, former assistant to Kelvin Sampson back during the period, whatever you want to call it. He was the first to get the boot and a show cause. Mm-hmm. And then Kelvin Sampson followed, getting it out and a show cause. And both of those guys are back in college basketball now, and both in Indiana's bracket.
Exactly. It's a beautiful thing. Now, I heard Senderoff on the radio this morning. He was actually quite good. He took responsibility for the cheating he did at Indiana, at least, as much as you can on a radio show. But, boy, I would love to see IU take it to Kelvin Sampson and knock them out. That would be so sweet. I disliked Kelvin Sampson from the minute I heard they hired him at his opening press conference. I got the hell booed out of me by the fans because I was asking Kelvin all these tough questions about his cheating background and the fact that he couldn't graduate kids. Boo. So yeah, Kelvin, the hell with him. The hell with him.
Exactly. I agree. Let's look. We can wait because there'll be that time, but Houston is a team that is dangerous because they can score, but I don't really know how good they really are. I know they've played a couple of teams. They've only played like 5 quad one games total. Yeah. Yeah. So don't really know how good they are. They're a mysterious team.
A little bit. But I mean, say what you want about Kelvin. He's a good coach. I mean, he's a cheating dog and all this other stuff, or he was. But he can coach now. I mean, he was in the 5 years he had the show cause. He was in the NBA doing some really excellent things. So, that's gonna be a tough matchup for Indiana. I mean, if Sasser is back and healthy, I don't know how they get past him, but boy, I'm going to have fun watching it.
Yeah, that will be that's one of those great things that the committee is known for doing.
Yeah, just by accident.
Yeah. And then, Kentucky playing Providence and Providence having a former Kentucky player on it.
Oh, is that right? I did not know that.
There's that. Yeah. How about Marquette and the job Shaka Smart has done?
I love Shaka Smart, man. I dealt with him a lot when VCU went on their run many years ago and faced Butler in the national semifinal. It was like the Cinderella semi. And I love the way his teams play. I haven't seen them play a hell of a lot. I don't know if they play the same kind of 40 minutes of hell that VCU did, but I've always been a big Shaka Smart fan, and I think Marquette's going to get really deep in this tournament.
They're a team that I think can go far as well. They're just, I really like them. They're well coached. They're fun to watch. There are a couple more games tonight, Bob. A little storyline. You got Steve Alford and Bobby Hurley going against each other with Nevada and Arizona State on the late game tonight.
Actually, that will be fun. I'm more interested in was it Fairleigh Dickinson and Texas Southern?
Yeah.
That's a sentence I never thought I'd utter in this lifetime, but I'd like to see who Purdue is playing, and I guarantee you, Purdue would like to see who Purdue is playing so they can get to work on somebody. I mean, they're already at work on both these teams, but whoever they play, let's face it, Purdue is going to be Purdue. They're going to stick it inside to Edey and let the big man eat, and that's what Purdue is going to do. And you hope that the perimeter shooting starts to show up a little bit in like a low pressure game like this first one.